This eerie incident happened to me a year ago, and it remains etched in my memory as one of the most chilling experiences of my life. At the time, our final exams were quickly approaching, and, like most students, I had a lot of preparation left to do. The pressure was immense, and the school authorities, understanding this, decided to extend the library hours. Normally, the library would close at 5 p.m., but for the duration of the exam period, it remained open until midnight. This extension provided a serene and quiet environment for students to study, an opportunity I decided to take full advantage of. Since my house was just a short distance from the school, I preferred studying in the library rather than at home. The quiet atmosphere and the absence of distractions made it the perfect place for me to focus. The hum of fluorescent lights, the rustling of papers, and the occasional whispers of fellow students were usually comforting. But that evening was different. Something about it felt off from the very start. It was around 6 p.m. when I left my house and headed to the library. The air was crisp, and the sun was setting, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. As I walked through the familiar streets, I felt a strange sense of unease, but I brushed it off, attributing it to the stress of the exams. When I reached the library, I quickly settled into my favorite corner by the large window, where I could see the faint outline of trees swaying in the breeze. Time flew by as I buried myself in my textbooks and notes. I was so absorbed in my work that I didn't realize how late it had gotten. When I finally glanced at the clock, it was 10 p.m. This was the longest I had ever stayed in the library. Normally, I would leave by 8 p.m. when there was still a handful of students around. But at this late hour, the library was eerily silent. The absence of any noise made the atmosphere unnerving. Despite the unsettling stillness, I decided to stay a little longer. I had only about 10 to 15 minutes of work left and wanted to finish it before heading home. As I focused on my notes, I suddenly heard a faint sound. It was the unmistakable sound of someone limping. The uneven rhythm of the footsteps echoed through the quiet library. Startled, I looked around, but I couldn't see anyone. My heart began to race as I tried to convince myself that it was probably just my imagination, or perhaps the sound of an old pipe creaking. But the sound continued, growing louder as if it were coming closer. Gathering my belongings quickly, I decided it was time to leave. The library's exit opened into a long, dimly lit corridor. As I stepped into it, I felt a chill run down my spine. The corridor was empty, and the only sound was the faint echo of my footsteps. I hurried toward the exit, my eyes darting around nervously. Just as I was about to reach the end of the corridor, I saw her. A woman was standing at the far end, near the exit door. She was completely still, and her presence sent a wave of unease through me. Something about her felt deeply unsettling. I called out, "Who's there?" but received no response. Instead, she vanished before my eyes. One moment she was there, and the next, she was gone. My heart pounded in my chest as I bolted through the exit and onto the street outside. The street was eerily quiet, which was unusual, even late at night. This street was usually bustling with activity, but tonight it was completely deserted. The streetlights cast long, flickering shadows, adding to the eerie atmosphere. As I walked, trying to steady my nerves, I kept my gaze fixed on the ground. My mind was racing, replaying what I had just witnessed. That's when I noticed it, a shadow stretching out toward me. It wasn't mine. There was no one around, yet this shadow moved as though someone were walking behind me. Terrified, I lifted my head and saw her again. She was walking ahead of me, her movements slow and deliberate. She appeared to be struggling, as if she were disabled. Her clothes were torn and filthy, and her hair was a tangled mess. Her hands and feet were twisted unnaturally, and every step she took seemed labored. The sight of her filled me with dread. I stopped in my tracks, unable to move closer. She seemed to sense my hesitation, because she suddenly turned to face me. Her eyes met mine, and in a chilling voice she asked, "Have you seen my daughter?" Her question froze me in place. I couldn't speak. My throat felt dry, and my body refused to move. Desperate to make her go away, I pointed randomly into the distance and whispered, "Over there." Without another word, she limped away in the direction I'd indicated. I watched her disappear into the darkness, my heart still pounding in my chest. Fearful that she might return, I began to run. I ran as fast as I could, my mind consumed by panic. I desperately searched for anyone who could help me, but the streets remained empty. As I neared my house, I heard her scream from far away. "She is here," she cried, her voice echoing through the night. The sound sent shivers down my spine, and I felt my legs give out beneath me. Everything went black. When I regained consciousness, I was in my house. My neighbor, who had found me passed out on the street, had brought me home. As I recounted the events of the night to him, his expression grew grave. He told me a story that sent chills through me. In 1998, there was a woman named Agatha who lived nearby. She had a 10-year-old daughter who attended Eden Hill School. One tragic day, while playing with her friends, the little girl had an accident and lost her life. Agatha was devastated by the loss. Unable to cope with the grief, she took her own life shortly after. Since then, locals have reported seeing Agatha's ghost wandering the school and surrounding streets. She is often seen searching for her daughter, calling out to her in anguish. Hearing this story, everything began to make sense. The woman I had encountered was Agatha, a restless spirit, forever trapped in her grief, searching for her lost child. Even now, I can't shake the memory of that night. Her sorrow was palpable, and her presence was haunting. I often wonder if she ever found peace, or if she still roams the streets, hoping for a reunion that will never come. To this day, I avoid walking alone at night, especially near the school. The experience left an indelible mark on me, a reminder of how fragile the line between the living and the dead can be. Agatha's story is a tragic one, a testament to the pain of loss and the lengths a mother's love can go. And while I hope never to encounter her again, I can't help but feel a deep sense of sympathy for her. She is a haunting figure, not just because of her ghostly presence, but because of the profound sadness she carries with her. Hi everyone, I hope you found this story as chilling and thought-provoking as I did. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to my channel for more tales like this. I'll be back soon with another eerie story. Until then, stay safe and take care.